At this very moment, you stand at the crossroads between your current life and your destiny. But most people never realize they're choosing. Right now, as you sit there, you are making a decision. You're either choosing to remain exactly where you are, or you're choosing to become something greater. There is no neutral ground. There is no pause button on life. Every second that passes without conscious choice is a choice itself. The choice to let circumstances decide your fate. Who among you believes that your life is the result of what has happened to you? Raise your hand if you think your current situation is primarily due to external events, other people's decisions, or simple bad luck. Keep those hands up. Look around. This is exactly why most people live lives of quiet desperation. They have surrendered the most powerful force in the universe, the power of conscious choice, to the random winds of circumstance. Here's what I want you to understand. Every external condition in your life is nothing more than the shadow cast by an internal decision you made, either consciously or unconsciously. Your bank account reflects your relationship with money. Your health reflects your relationship with your body. Your relationships reflect your relationship with yourself. The person sitting next to you didn't create your life, you did. Let me tell you about two students who were given identical seeds by their master. Both seeds had equal potential for growth. The first student immediately prepared the soil, planted the seed, and began the daily work of watering and tending. The second student examined the seed endlessly, researched the perfect conditions, waited for the ideal weather, and spent months planning the perfect garden. Years later, the first student harvested an abundant crop that fed his entire family. The second student still had his seed, perfectly preserved, completely analyzed, totally understood, and absolutely worthless. He knew everything about the seed except the one thing that mattered. Seeds are meant to be planted, not studied. Which student are you? The one who acts with what they have, where they are, with the knowledge they possess right now, or the one who waits for perfect conditions that never come? Your answer to this question determines whether you will live a life of abundance or a life of endless preparation. The first rule of transformation is this: take complete responsibility for every aspect of your existence, not partial responsibility, not responsibility for the things you can control, complete responsibility for everything. The moment you accept that you are the author of your life story, you gain the power to write a different ending. Most people resist this truth because responsibility feels heavy. They prefer the comfort of blame because blame requires no action. But here's what they don't understand. Responsibility is not a burden. It's the ultimate freedom. When you own your results, you own your power to change them. Success isn't found in changing what happens to you. Success is found in changing how what happens to you changes you. This is the second rule, and it's the difference between those who achieve greatness and those who achieve excuses. Your mind is like a garden. Left unattended, it will grow weeds. Carefully cultivated, it will produce fruit that can feed your entire life. But here's what most people miss. Gardening isn't a seasonal activity. It's a daily discipline. You don't plant a garden once and expect it to maintain itself. You water it, weed it, and tend it every single day. Mental discipline is the master key that unlocks every other area of your life. The mind that can govern itself can govern its world. But the mind that is governed by every passing thought, every emotional whim, every external circumstance, will always be at the mercy of forces beyond its control. Here's a practical truth. 15 minutes of focused study every day creates expertise within 5 years. That's 91 hours per year. Over 5 years, that's 455 hours of focused learning on any subject. You can become one of the most knowledgeable people in the world on any topic with just 15 minutes of daily commitment. But most people can't even commit to 15 minutes because their minds have never been trained to focus. They live in a constant state of mental chaos, jumping from one distraction to another, never developing the concentrated power that creates extraordinary results. The transformation begins when you stop reacting and start responding. Reaction is automatic and unconscious. Response is deliberate and chosen. Between every stimulus and your reaction, there exists a space. In that space lies your freedom and your power. The goal is to expand that space until you have enough room to choose your response rather than defaulting to your programming. Small daily habits compound into major life results. If you improve just 1% every day for a year, you don't become 1% better, you become 37 times better. This is the mathematics of transformation, and it works whether you believe in it or not. The third rule involves understanding that life operates in predictable patterns. These patterns are not random. They follow natural laws as consistent as gravity. When you understand these patterns, you gain the power of preparation and positioning. You stop being surprised by challenges and start being prepared for opportunities. Life moves in cycles. Difficulties always precede breakthroughs. Challenges always come before victories. Confusion always comes before clarity. This isn't pessimism, it's wisdom. When you expect these cycles, you can navigate them strategically instead of being overwhelmed by them. Watch the seasons. Spring doesn't struggle to follow winter. Summer doesn't fight to replace spring. Fall doesn't resist becoming winter. Each season has its purpose, its timing, and its gifts. Your life follows these same patterns. There are seasons for planting, seasons for growing, seasons for harvesting, and seasons for rest. Most people fight against the natural rhythms of their lives. They try to harvest when they should be planting. They try to rest when they should be growing. They try to plant when they should be harvesting. This resistance creates struggle, stress, and ultimately failure. Purposeful direction means aligning your actions with these natural laws rather than fighting against them. It means recognizing what season you're in and acting accordingly. It means understanding that every apparent setback contains the seeds of a comeback, but only if you plant those seeds instead of lamenting the weather. Here's how you read life's patterns. When everything seems to be going wrong at once, you're being prepared for something bigger. When opportunities seem scarce, you're being forced to develop skills you'll need later. When people disappoint you, you're being taught to rely on your own strength. When progress seems slow, you're building the foundation for rapid advancement. The challenge is developing the vision to see beyond current circumstances to future possibilities. This requires faith, not blind faith, but informed faith based on understanding how transformation actually works. Now let me address the internal saboteur that whispers tomorrow when today demands action. This voice is not your friend. It's the enemy of your potential, and it has one job: to keep you exactly where you are. Self-sabotage is more common than self-support. Most people are their own worst enemy. They defeat themselves before external circumstances ever get the chance. They create elaborate plans and then systematically fail to execute them. They set goals and then find reasons why those goals are impossible. Here's the truth about excuses: they're always creative, often logical, and completely irrelevant. An excuse might be perfectly reasonable and totally accurate, but it still doesn't change your results. The question isn't whether your excuse is valid. The question is whether your excuse is useful. Successful minds ask, "How can I?" Mediocre minds ask, "Why me?" This single distinction separates those who achieve from those who complain. When faced with any challenge, your first response determines your ultimate result. Let me give you a framework for transforming victim language into victor language. Instead of "I have to," say "I choose to." Instead of "I can't," say "I'll find a way." Instead of "This is too hard," say "This will make me stronger." Instead of "Why is this happening to me?" say "How can I use this?" The responsibility ritual works like this. Every morning, before you do anything else, look yourself in the mirror and say, "I am completely responsible for my life and my results. Today I will make choices that move me toward my goals." Every evening, ask yourself, "What did I do today to take responsibility for my results? What will I do differently tomorrow?" This simple practice shifts your brain from blame mode to power mode. Blame mode focuses on what's wrong and who's at fault. Power mode focuses on what's possible and what you can control. The pattern interrupt technique stops self-defeating thoughts before they become self-defeating actions. The moment you catch yourself thinking a limiting thought, immediately say "Stop" out loud. Then replace that thought with a powerful question: "How can I turn this situation into an advantage?" Your thoughts become your reality, but only if you allow them to repeat unchallenged. Most people think the same thoughts every day and wonder why their lives never change. If you want different results, you must think different thoughts. If you want to think different thoughts, you must catch and redirect the old ones. 3 daily disciplines will create the foundation for everything else you want to achieve. These are non-negotiable practices that separate those who transform their lives from those who only dream about transformation. First, spend the first 10 minutes of every day setting your intention. Not checking messages, not starting work, setting intention. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? What will I focus on? How will I respond to challenges? What will I accomplish? Write down your answers. This 10-minute investment determines the quality of the next 14 hours and 50 minutes. Second, spend the last 10 minutes of every day in reflection and course correction. Ask yourself, what went well today? What could I have done better? What did I learn? How did I grow? What will I do differently tomorrow? This practice ensures that every day contributes to your long-term development instead of just passing by unnoticed. Third, spend 1 hour every week aligning your daily actions with your life vision. Most people work hard, but they're working on the wrong things. They're busy but not effective. They're moving but not advancing. Weekly planning sessions connect your daily activities to your long-term objectives. Here's what you must do in the next 24 hours. Choose one area of your life that needs immediate attention. Apply the responsibility principle by asking, "How did my choices create this situation?" Apply the mental discipline principle by creating one specific daily habit that will improve this area. Apply the purposeful direction principle by identifying what season this area is in and what actions that season requires. The seeds of your transformation are not planted in some distant tomorrow.
They're planted in the choices you make in the next 5 minutes. Every day you delay is compound interest, working against you instead of for you. Every day you act is compound interest, working in your favor. The cost of waiting is not neutral. While you're deciding whether to change, your current patterns are becoming more entrenched. While you're planning to start, your competitors are getting ahead. While you're preparing to begin, your potential is diminishing. But the reward of immediate action is profound. The person who starts today, even imperfectly, will be further ahead in 1 year than the person who waits for perfect conditions. The person who begins with what they have will develop what they need. The person who takes responsibility now will gain the power to change everything. You already know what you need to do. The question is whether you will do what you know. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. Inspiration without implementation is just manipulation. Understanding without application is just intellectual masturbation. The choice is yours, and the choice is now. You can continue living the life you've been living, or you can begin creating the life you've been dreaming about. But you cannot do both simultaneously. The architecture of inner mastery begins with a single decision. The decision to take complete responsibility for becoming the person you were meant to be. Your life is not happening to you. Your life is you, expressed in physical form through the choices you make every single day. Now that you understand the power of taking responsibility, we must address what happens when you actually use that power. The moment you decide to transform, you face a crucial truth. You cannot build a new life on an old foundation. Who here has ever tried to change their external circumstances without changing who they are internally? Show me your hands. How did that work out for you? Exactly. You got temporary results at best, because external change without internal change is just rearranging deck chairs on a sinking ship. Character is not what you inherit from your parents or what society assigns to you. Character is what you build, brick by brick, choice by choice, moment by moment. It's the internal architecture that determines whether your life stands strong against the storms or collapses at the first sign of pressure. Think of character like building a house. You wouldn't start with the roof and work your way down. You wouldn't skip the foundation and begin with the windows. You wouldn't use inferior materials and expect the structure to last. Yet this is exactly how most people approach their personal development. They want the impressive parts, the success, the recognition, the rewards, without building the foundation that can support them. The fourth rule of transformation is this: character development is not optional if you want lasting success. You can fake competence for a while. You can fake confidence temporarily. You can even fake charisma briefly, but you cannot fake character, and eventually who you really are will determine what you actually achieve. Here's what most people misunderstand about character. They think it's about being perfect. Character is not about perfection. Character is about consistency. It's about doing what you say you'll do, especially when you don't feel like doing it. It's about keeping your word to yourself before you worry about keeping your word to others. Every time you honor a commitment to yourself, you build trust with the most important person in your life, you. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you erode that trust. Your relationship with yourself sets the standard for every other relationship you'll ever have.
Let me tell you about a man who decided to rebuild his character from the ground up. He was known for being unreliable, making excuses, and blaming others for his failures. He recognized that his weak character was the root cause of his weak results. So he made a simple commitment. For 30 days, he would do exactly what he said he would do when he said he would do it, no matter how small the commitment. Day 1, he committed to making his bed every morning. Day 2, he committed to arriving 5 minutes early to every appointment. Day 3, he committed to saying please and thank you in every interaction. Small commitments, but he kept every single one. By day 30, he had rebuilt his relationship with himself. By day 90, others began noticing the change. By day 180, opportunities began appearing that had never existed before. What happened? His character changed, and his character change created a ripple effect that transformed every area of his life. The same opportunities had always been there, but now he was the type of person who could recognize them and act on them. This brings us to the fifth rule. Relationship mastery begins with self-mastery. You cannot give what you do not possess. You cannot inspire what you do not embody. You cannot attract what you are not. Every relationship in your life is a mirror reflecting back your internal state. The type of people you attract reveals who you are. The type of behavior you tolerate reveals what you believe you deserve. The type of conversations you have reveals the depth of your thinking. If you want better relationships, become a better person. If you want more loyal friends, become more loyal yourself. If you want more honest communication, become more honest in your own words. If you want more respect, become more respectable. Here's a question that will change how you approach every relationship. What would this relationship look like if I brought my absolute best self to every interaction? Not your stressed self, not your tired self, not your overwhelmed self, your best self, the person you are when you're operating at your highest level. Most people show up to relationships as whatever they happen to be feeling in that moment. They bring their bad days, their frustrations, their fears, and their insecurities into every interaction. Then they wonder why their relationships are filled with drama, conflict, and disappointment. Professional relationships require professional behavior. Personal relationships require personal investment. Family relationships require family commitment. You cannot treat all relationships the same way and expect different results from each one. The universal law of relationships is this: you attract what you are, not what you want. If you want to attract successful people, become successful yourself. If you want to attract confident people, develop your own confidence. If you want to attract people of integrity, become a person of integrity. But here's the deeper truth: relationships are not just about what you can get from other people. Relationships are about what you can contribute to other people's lives. The most powerful question you can ask in any relationship is not "what can this person do for me?" but "what can I do to add value to this person's life?" When you shift from a taking mentality to a giving mentality, everything changes. People are naturally drawn to those who make their lives better, not those who make their lives more complicated. Be the person who solves problems, not the person who creates them. Be the person who brings energy, not the person who drains it. This connects directly to the sixth rule. Energy management is more important than time management. Time passes the same for everyone. Energy does not. Some people can accomplish more in 2 focused hours than others accomplish in 2 scattered days. The difference is not time, it's energy. Your energy is your most valuable currency, and most people spend it carelessly. They give their best energy to their least important activities. They waste their mental energy on worry, their emotional energy on drama, and their physical energy on meaningless busy work. There are 4 types of energy, and you must manage all 4 if you want to operate at your highest level. Physical energy comes from how you treat your body. Mental energy comes from how you direct your focus. Emotional energy comes from how you choose your relationships and responses. Spiritual energy comes from how you align your actions with your purpose. Physical energy is the foundation for everything else. You cannot have sustained mental clarity if your body is running on empty. You cannot have emotional stability if your physical health is unstable. You cannot have spiritual connection if your physical vessel is breaking down. Here's a practical truth: 30 minutes of movement every day creates more energy than it consumes. Your body is designed to move, and movement creates momentum in every area of your life. But most people treat exercise like punishment instead of investment. They see it as something they have to do instead of something they get to do. Mental energy requires focus, discipline. Your brain can only handle a limited amount of decisions each day before decision fatigue sets in. This is why successful people create routines for the small decisions so they can save their mental energy for the important ones. How many of you waste mental energy every morning deciding what to wear? How many waste mental energy deciding what to eat for breakfast? How many waste mental energy deciding what route to take to work? These decisions seem small, but they add up. Every decision you make depletes your mental energy reserves. Create systems for the routine decisions so you can focus your mental energy on the strategic decisions. Steve Jobs wore the same style of clothes every day, not because he lacked creativity, but because he understood energy management. Mark Zuckerberg does the same thing for the same reason. They save their decision-making energy for the decisions that actually matter. Emotional energy is determined by the relationships you maintain and the responses you choose. Emotional vampires will drain your energy faster than anything else. These are people who consistently bring drama, negativity, and chaos into your life. You know who they are. The question is, what are you going to do about them? You cannot change other people, but you can change how much access they have to your energy. You can set boundaries. You can limit interactions. You can choose not to engage in their drama. Your emotional energy is too valuable to waste on people who don't appreciate it. Spiritual energy comes from meaning and purpose. When your actions align with your values, you gain energy. When your work contributes to something larger than yourself, you gain energy. When you know why you're doing what you're doing, the how becomes easier. But when you're living someone else's definition of success, pursuing goals that don't match your values, or working in ways that contradict your purpose, you lose energy. This is why some people can work 16-hour days and feel energized, while others feel exhausted after 8 hours. The difference is alignment. The 7th and final rule before we integrate everything is this: continuous learning is not optional in a changing world. It's the difference between growth and obsolescence. The half-life of most skills is decreasing rapidly. What you learned 5 years ago may be completely irrelevant today. What you know today may be outdated tomorrow. But here's what doesn't change: the ability to learn. the capacity to adapt, the willingness to grow. These meta skills become more valuable every year because they allow you to stay relevant regardless of what changes occur around you. Most people confuse information consumption with wisdom cultivation. They read articles, watch videos, and attend seminars, but they never actually apply what they learn. Information without application is just entertainment. Knowledge without action is just intellectual collection. Build a personal learning laboratory. This means treating every experience as a source of valuable data. Success teaches you what works. Failure teaches you what doesn't work. Both are equally valuable if you extract the lessons and apply them going forward. The fastest way to learn is to teach. When you have to explain something to someone else, you discover gaps in your own understanding. When you have to break down complex concepts into simple terms, you deepen your own comprehension. Find opportunities to share what you're learning, even if you don't consider yourself an expert yet. Learn from others' mistakes instead of making them all yourself. This is the ultimate time saver and the ultimate life enhancer. Read biographies of successful people, study case studies of failed ventures, analyze what worked and what didn't work for people who faced similar challenges to the ones you're facing now. Create feedback loops that accelerate your learning curve. Ask for specific feedback on your performance. Measure your results regularly. Track your progress consistently. What gets measured gets improved, but only if you actually pay attention to the measurements and adjust accordingly. Here's your character development protocol for the next 30 days. Every morning, ask yourself these 3 questions. What kind of person do I want to be today? How will I demonstrate my character in my actions? What can I do today to become more trustworthy to myself? Every evening, conduct a character audit. Ask yourself, did I keep my word to myself today? Did I act in alignment with my values? What character strength did I develop? What character weakness did I address? For relationships, implement the daily value-add practice. In every significant interaction, ask yourself, how can I make this person's day better? What can I contribute to this conversation? How can I be helpful rather than just present? For energy management, conduct a weekly energy audit. Track what activities give you energy and what activities drain your energy. Track which people energize you and which people exhaust you. Track what thoughts empower you and what thoughts weaken you. Then make conscious choices about how you spend your energy based on these patterns. For learning acceleration, adopt the teach to learn principle. Every week, find someone to teach something you've recently learned. This could be a formal presentation, an informal conversation, or a written explanation. The act of teaching will force you to organize your thoughts and identify gaps in your understanding. Character, relationships, energy, and learning are not separate areas of development. They're interconnected systems that reinforce each other. Strong character attracts better relationships. Better relationships provide more energy. More energy enables more learning. More learning strengthens character. The cycle becomes self-reinforcing when you work on all 4 areas simultaneously. The person you're becoming through this process is not just someone with better habits or better results. You're becoming someone with the internal resources to handle whatever life presents. You're building resilience, wisdom, and strength that compound over time. But character development and relationship mastery are just the foundation for what comes next. Once you have the internal architecture in place, once you have the energy systems optimized, once you have the learning systems activated, you're ready to build something that will outlast your physical presence on this earth. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must choose between the person they are and the person they could become. Most people choose the familiar prison of who they are because transformation requires them to face 3 uncomfortable truths that separate those who dream from those who achieve lasting change. How many of you are living paycheck to paycheck despite having a decent income? Raise your hands. How many are neglecting your health while pursuing success? How many are so focused on daily survival that you never think about what you'll leave behind when you're gone? Look around. This is why most people reach the end of their lives with regret instead of fulfillment. The 8th rule of transformation will revolutionize how you think about money. Financial mastery is not about the money, it's about the freedom money provides and the service money enables. Money is not the goal. Money is the tool that gives you options, opportunities, and the ability to contribute to something larger than yourself. Here's what poor people believe. Money is scarce. Money is the root of evil. Money corrupts character, and rich people got lucky or did something wrong. Here's what wealthy people understand. Money is abundant. Money amplifies who you already are. Money is a tool for creating value, and wealth is the natural result of solving problems for other people. The psychology of poverty keeps you focused on spending. The psychology of wealth keeps you focused on building. Poor people think about what they can buy with money. Wealthy people think about what they can build with money. Poor people work for money. Wealthy people make money work for them. Let me give you the fundamental distinction that changes everything. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out of your pocket. Most people accumulate liabilities and call them assets. They buy cars that depreciate, clothes that wear out, and gadgets that become obsolete. Then they wonder why they never build wealth. Real assets generate income while you sleep. They work for you even when you're not working. They compound your efforts instead of consuming them. This could be investments that pay dividends, businesses that run without your constant attention, or skills that command premium prices in the marketplace. Here's your immediate action step. Calculate what percentage of your income goes toward building assets versus what percentage goes toward buying liabilities. Most people are shocked to discover they're spending 90% on liabilities and 10% on assets, then wondering why they're not getting ahead financially. The wealthy do the opposite. They spend 10% on lifestyle and 90% on assets. They delay gratification today to create freedom tomorrow. They understand that every dollar spent on a liability is a dollar that can't be invested in an asset. But here's what most financial advice misses. You cannot build lasting wealth if you're destroying your health in the process. The 9th rule addresses this directly. Your body is the foundation for everything else you want to achieve. Without health, wealth becomes meaningless. Without energy, money becomes irrelevant. Without vitality, success becomes hollow. Who here has sacrificed sleep to make more money? Who has skipped meals to meet deadlines? Who has avoided exercise because they were too busy building their career? Your hands tell the story of a culture that has confused motion with progress and activity with achievement. Your body is not your enemy that you must defeat through willpower. Your body is your partner that you must support through wisdom. It's the vehicle that carries your consciousness through life, and like any vehicle, it performs better when it's properly maintained. The 4 pillars of physical vitality are movement, nutrition, rest, and stress management. Most people get 1 or 2 of these right and wonder why they don't feel their best. All 4 must work together to create the energy foundation that supports everything else you want to accomplish. Movement is not punishment for eating. Movement is investment in your future capabilities. 30 minutes of daily movement will give you more energy than it takes. It will improve your mental clarity, emotional stability, and physical resilience. It will add years to your life and life to your years. But here's what the fitness industry doesn't tell you. The best exercise is the one you'll actually do consistently. Consistency beats intensity every time. A simple walk every day is better than an intense workout once a week. Push-ups in your living room are better than a gym membership you never use. Nutrition is not about deprivation or complicated rules. Nutrition is about giving your body the fuel it needs to perform at its best. Eat real food most of the time. Drink enough water. Avoid eating when you're stressed or bored. Stop eating when you're satisfied, not when you're full. Rest is not laziness. Rest is strategic recovery that allows your body and mind to repair, rebuild, and prepare for the next day's challenges. Most people treat sleep like an inconvenience instead of recognizing it as the foundation for peak performance. Stress management is not about eliminating stress. Stress is unavoidable and often beneficial. Stress management is about controlling your response to stress and recovering quickly when stress peaks. The people who handle stress best are not those who avoid it, but those who recover from it quickly. Here's your health optimization protocol. Move your body for 30 minutes every day. Eat real food at regular intervals. Get 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night and practice one stress reduction technique daily. Simple but not easy. Effective but not complicated. The compound effect of these health choices over decades is extraordinary. The person who maintains their health while building their wealth has options that others don't have. They can enjoy their money because they have the energy to use it. They can take advantage of opportunities because they have the stamina to pursue them. But wealth and health are still not enough if you're building something that dies with you. The 10th and final rule is this: true fulfillment comes from building something that outlasts your physical presence. This is the difference between success and significance, between achievement and legacy. Most people are so focused on getting that they never think about giving. They're so busy accumulating that they never consider contributing. They're so concerned with making a living that they never make a life worth living. Legacy is not about fame or recognition. Legacy is about impact and influence. It's about the problems you solve, the people you develop, and the positive changes you create that continue after you're gone. It's about being part of something larger than yourself while you're here. Who are you developing? Who are you mentoring? Who are you preparing to carry on your work when you can no longer do it yourself? If you died tomorrow, what would continue because you were here? What would be lost because you're gone? The most powerful legacy you can create is not a building with your name on it or a foundation that bears your title. The most powerful legacy is the people whose lives are better because they knew you, the problems that are solved
solved because you cared enough to solve them, and the positive changes that ripple forward through generations. This requires thinking beyond your own immediate needs and wants. It requires considering how your actions today will affect people you may never meet. It requires building systems and relationships that can function without your constant involvement. Mentorship is legacy creation in action. When you develop someone else's potential, you multiply your own impact. When you teach someone what you've learned, you extend your influence beyond your own lifespan. When you prepare others to surpass your achievements, you create exponential rather than linear progress. Now let me show you how all 10 rules work together as an integrated system. This is not 10 separate things you must do. This is one comprehensive approach to life that addresses every area simultaneously. Your morning routine integrates personal responsibility, mental discipline, character development, and purposeful direction. You take responsibility for the day ahead, discipline your mind through focused intention, develop your character through aligned actions, and direct your purpose through strategic planning. Your work approach integrates relationship mastery, energy management, continuous learning, and financial wisdom. You build relationships that support your goals, manage your energy for maximum effectiveness, learn continuously to stay relevant, and create financial systems that support your life design. Your evening routine integrates health optimization, legacy building, and pattern recognition. You optimize your health through proper rest and recovery, build your legacy through planning tomorrow's contributions, and recognize patterns that guide future decisions. Your weekly planning integrates all 10 rules into strategic life management. You review your responsibility choices, assess your mental discipline progress, evaluate your character development, align your purposeful direction, strengthen your key relationships, audit your energy management, accelerate your learning systems, optimize your financial strategies, enhance your health protocols, and advance your legacy projects. The daily integration system looks like this. Spend 20 minutes each morning setting intention across all 10 areas. What kind of person will you be today? How will you manage your mental state? What character will you display? What purpose will you serve? How will you add value to relationships? How will you manage your energy? What will you learn? How will you advance financially? How will you optimize your health? What will you contribute to your legacy? During your workday, apply the excellence principles under pressure. When challenges arise, immediately engage your responsibility training. When decisions are required, use your mental discipline. When interactions occur, demonstrate your character. When opportunities appear, align with your purpose. When relationships are tested, apply your mastery skills. When energy drops, implement your management strategies. When problems emerge, activate your learning systems. When money is involved, apply your financial wisdom. When stress peaks, use your health protocols. When influence is possible, build your legacy. Your evening optimization review connects your daily actions to your long-term vision. What responsibility did you take? How did you discipline your mind? What character did you build? How did you advance your purpose? What relationships did you strengthen? How did you manage your energy? What did you learn? How did you improve financially? What did you do for your health? How did you contribute to your legacy? But integration is meaningless without implementation, and implementation is impossible without overcoming the final barriers that prevent people from achieving their full potential. The first barrier is fear of success and the responsibility it brings. Most people are more afraid of succeeding than they are of failing because success requires them to maintain higher standards permanently. Failure allows them to return to their comfort zone. Success demands that they operate at a higher level consistently. The second barrier is imposter syndrome and self-worth issues. Most people don't believe they deserve the success they say they want. They sabotage their progress because they don't feel worthy of the results their efforts could create. The third barrier is comfort zone addiction. Most people prefer the familiar discomfort of their current situation to the unfamiliar discomfort of growth and change. They choose known problems over unknown solutions. The fourth barrier is analysis paralysis and perfectionism. Most people would rather plan perfectly than execute imperfectly. They use planning as a sophisticated form of procrastination, studying their way out of action rather than acting their way into results. Here's how you overcome these barriers. First, redefine success as the progressive realization of worthy goals rather than the achievement of specific outcomes. This makes success a process you can control rather than an event you must fear. Second, develop your self-worth through consistent action rather than positive thinking. Self-worth is not a feeling you generate through affirmations. Self-worth is a conclusion you reach through evidence of your own reliability and capability. Third, expand your comfort zone gradually rather than dramatically. Take on challenges that stretch you without breaking you. Build confidence through progressive difficulty rather than attempting quantum leaps. Fourth, develop an action bias that prioritizes progress over perfection. Good enough executed is better than perfect planned. Done is better than perfect. Forward motion creates clarity that planning alone cannot provide. The emergency protocol for when life throws you off track is simple. Return to the fundamentals immediately. When everything seems chaotic, focus on what you can control. When motivation disappears, rely on systems and habits. When progress stalls, simplify rather than complicate. Your support system must be designed to reinforce your transformation rather than undermine it. Surround yourself with people who support your growth, challenge your thinking, and hold you accountable to your potential. Distance yourself from people who drain your energy, discourage your dreams, and enable your weaknesses. Create accountability structures that ensure you follow through on your commitments to yourself. This could be a weekly check-in with a mentor, a monthly review with a trusted friend, or a quarterly assessment with a professional coach. The specific structure matters less than the consistent application. Here's what you must do in in the next 24 hours to begin this transformation. First, conduct a complete life audit using all 10 rules as your evaluation criteria. Rate yourself honestly on a scale of 1 to 10 in each area. This assessment shows you where to focus your initial efforts. Second, choose the lowest scoring area and create one specific daily habit that will improve it. Don't try to fix everything at once. Excellence in one area creates momentum for improvement in other areas. Third, find one person who embodies the type of success you want to achieve and study their approach to life. Success leaves clues, and those clues are available to anyone willing to look for them and apply them consistently. The point of no return is now. While you're sitting here listening to these words, your life is passing by. While you're considering whether to change, your current patterns are becoming more entrenched. While you're planning to start, your potential is diminishing, but the reward of immediate action is profound and permanent. The person who starts today will be further ahead in 1 year than the person who waits for perfect conditions. The person who begins with what they have will develop what they need. The person who takes full responsibility now will gain the power to change everything. When you reach the end of your life, you will not regret the risks you took or the chances you missed. You will regret the person you never became because you were too afraid to start becoming them. You will regret the impact you never made because you were too comfortable staying small. You will regret the legacy you never built because you were too focused on what you could get instead of what you could give. You already possess everything you need to transform your life. You have the capacity to take responsibility, the ability to discipline your mind, the power to build your character, the wisdom to direct your purpose, the skills to master relationships, the knowledge to manage your energy, the capability to learn continuously, the potential to build wealth, the strength to optimize your health, and the opportunity to create a lasting legacy. The only question is whether you will use what you possess or continue making excuses for why you can't. The choice you faced at the beginning of this message is the same choice you face right now. Will you choose the person you are, or will you choose the person you are meant to become? Your transformation begins with your next decision. Make it count.